Hello, we are Felipe Quintana and Anna Rumschisky, Associate Professors in the Operations and Marketing areas of the IE Business School. We have chosen to do this video to show the coordination we believe that should exist between these two important areas in any company, regardless of the sector.
The first question both departments ask concerns price versus cost. The price we need to go to market versus the cost given to us by the operations department, and which will determine our margin. Normally in my class, I am told by my students that they are giving a cost to which a margin is added in order to then calculate the price. This is not how we should work, Felipe. Our job in marketing is to sell value. And the price we establish for the value is the one that consumer understands the value of what we are selling is worth. We should then find a cost that allows us to establish the price that we need to compete in the market. Consequently, we should have a margin that allows a good marketing mix and a good return for our investors. I understand, Felipe, this is not always easy. I come to you with a market price and demand a cost that allows good margins. What are the most complex situations you have experienced in these circumstances, in this regard?
Sometimes the marketing department demands from us costs that are almost impossible to achieve. In these cases, good coordination is key. The marketing department must understand what the operation department does and the cost implications of developing specific demands for specific products or services. There is a need to coordinate between our departments in order to establish a standardization of certain products. That could allow better cost without having any negative impacts on our clients.
That's great. I think coordination is the way to go, but I would also add that knowing the modus operandi of operations is also fundamental. On many occasions, marketing fails to realize that a specific request regarding their product or service could result in a much higher product cost. That could have been avoided if it was standardized. The best results are achieved when the two departments sit together and collaborate and understand the cost implications together as well. Marketing should know the cost breakdown by heart, each and every cost component, in order to better determine whether a product is viable or not. I have sometimes faced situations where operations has told us, this is the cost, you must then increase your price to meet your margins. But we all know this is not the way forward. Increasing prices is not always possible, and most especially today, given the economic circumstances.
True, and at the same time, the operation department should take all cost elements into account. There are occasions where some variables are not accounted for, and therefore the final cost is higher, reducing the margin.
This is terrible when it happens, because you have estimated your marketing expenses already based on a certain cost. No surprises, please.
And a good coordination. Another aspect we consider relevant regarding departmental coordination is during new product development and time to market. How does the process begin, Anna?
Well, normally marketing recommends a product introduction based on market opportunities, R&D or other market research inputs, etc. My recommendation here is that from the very beginning, operations is involved in order to check viability. After we test a concept that proves successful, operations should then give us a clue as to whether costs are viable for what we need to do. In fact, working with operations at this point could also help us find ways that marketing might not have even thought of to lower costs and even to achieve better competitive advantage. For example, a kind of packaging or a different change in formula, etc. So insisting on what we said in the beginning, and we'll keep saying throughout this video, I'm sure, coordination and communication are fundamental from the very beginning. Sometimes projects remain confidential because of risks of leaks to competitors and etc. But I believe that at a certain company level, all directors should be informed of future launches as early as possible, and in particular operations.
Correct. As soon as the idea or project is communicated, the operation department should start to develop the productive process, suppliers, cost estimates, etc., with a focus on entering the market before competitors. This becomes especially relevant in technological market with products with short life cycles, such as computers, mobile phones, or even cars.
Absolutely. Also because operations is very exposed to competitors, since most suppliers are shared by competing companies. Once the launch is leaked, we should not let anybody, any competitor go first. Agility is absolutely vital. Felipe, what sounds worse to you? I'm out of stock or I am up to here with product?
Both are equally negative for any company. That is why good forecasting is so important, Anna. And who is responsible for forecasting?
Well, in my experience, responsibility lies within the marketing department. Because marketing is supposed to know the market, the planned actions, all the activities we're going to have for the different periods, and should have the expertise, should be the expert on this. But unfortunately, we are not always that precise. It is difficult, and especially when we are facing new products or new markets, to give the exact figure.
Anna, what I teach my students is that the whole company is responsible for a good forecast. We should involve the general manager, the sales and operation department, marketing, etc., in order to detect any signs of forecasting errors.
Well, I think that's the point, to help detect errors. I think that experience and historical data from the different departments help better forecast judgment. But marketing has the full responsibility at the end and should have a solid rationale to explain and defend their figures.
Mm-hmm. Unquestionably, the quality of the forecast will determine the quality of delivery, avoiding both out and overstock.
Hence the importance of a good forecast. We should also bear in mind other market factors beyond our reach, which are mainly based on what competitors might do. Sometimes these out of stocks or overstock situations are created by circumstances that are beyond company control and don't belong to our historical data, so we can't predict them. And some companies have departments that fully control its historical data, and this always helps in the forecasting process, of course. The use of forecasting statistic models, in my experience as well, is also been very helpful.
We fully support any forecasting tool that is reliable. Anna, does this sound familiar to you? I want it now.
You bet it does. We say it all the time in marketing.
The operation department should always be flexible enough to face campaigns with the urgency the marketing may need. How can we do this better, Anna?
Well, as you well say, by being flexible. I give all the credit to the operations department, Felipe, since on many occasions a market circumstance breaks an established pattern and creates immediate needs. Suddenly, everything is urgent. The only way to overcome these situations is good communication and good coordination once again. Marketing should clearly establish needs and timings and have a daily follow-up of an urgency. And this daily follow-up is fundamental. I would also like to add, Felipe, that the need to be honest here becomes really relevant. Sometimes we tend to cover our backs, and for instance, we will request something within the next 48 hours and you really need 72, and that extra day could mean a big change in cost saving and still work for us in marketing. So there are higher levels in the company where clarity and honesty should be a must.
Mm-hmm. In other words, we should foster a relationship between departments based on trust and mutual knowledge. So sometimes marketing can understand they are requesting something that is impossible to achieve.
I think you mentioned the key word here, the magic word, trust. It may sound obvious to have any company have trust between departments, but that's not always happen. Departments should know each other well, relate well, and then create credibility and trust amongst them. But if things sometimes can't be done, we must also be understanding. There's another issue here, Felipe, that I would like to bring up. When we say something, sometimes that things are urgent, this implies an extra cost. Urgent situations stop us from taking a break in order to understand what this extra cost implies and how to allocate it properly. What do you think about this?
Yes. Then we have the extra cost surprise and the dilemma to where it should be allocated. Who pays for it? So it's important in urgent situations to establish the extra cost the situation will create before the extra cost is produced, and to then decide between departments if it's viable or not.
Absolutely. Sometimes a one-day difference may mean a significant cost difference too. Hence the need to be clear and coordinate well, to communicate and to be honest. Sometimes like, give me an extra day and we can ship by truck instead of airplane can mean the world. Let's be transparent and avoid parochialism. Let's all move towards common objective to make things happen that are good for the company and not for individual departments. Probably relationships here are the key. It is both directors' responsibility to make sure departments constantly relate. They get to know each other well, they have lunch together, they have fun together, they're physically close. Don't you think so? What happens when a factory is, for instance, 500 km away? How do you deal with that?
Unfortunately, this happens, Anna. In many occasions, the operation department is located where the factory is, and the marketing department is in the headquarters buildings. This makes the process more difficult in terms of coordination, but modern communication technology today should overcome this. We can video conference as much as we need to.
Do you think it's important, for instance, for marketing to visit the factory?
I think it is fundamental. The same way operations should fully know their suppliers' factories, all members of the marketing department should know the whole productive process and all the implications their inputs have, such as format changes, producing a small number of units, or even too much volume.
Yes, sometimes we ask for something that requires, for instance, stopping a machine when it could be avoided. Perhaps we could do it some other way without the consumer even noticing.
It's important on an ongoing basis to be looking at the process to find possibilities of improving it. Operations should be forthcoming in offering the marketing department new ways of cost saving without affecting the product offered to consumers.
I can't agree more with you. We are most grateful in these cases, especially in circumstances like we're facing today, where companies have been obliged to reduce prices in order to be able to compete. The fact that operation department helps us by reducing costs that help our margins and ideally not affect our quality is priceless. I have always been in favor of permanently having a low-cost project ongoing, both from the operations and the marketing side too. In many occasions, brainstorming together is an excellent way to achieve this, hence the importance of having such a close relationship.
To summarize, the relationship between operations and marketing should be based on each department having a knowledge of the processes and requirements of the other, as well as a constant communication between their members.
This would help build trust between departments, which should lead to success.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.